In this video, I'm going to be talking about what an ISO file is. An ISO file is a type of optical disk image file. Go over that, or go over what that is in the next video. ISO. Why were ISO files developed? ISO files were created to be used and saved on CDs. Back in the day, operating systems were booted and installed off of CD-ROM disks. So back in the day, when you bought Windows, you bought it through like a catalog, and it came in a little box and a CD, and it had a CD password and so on and so forth. And yeah, so you were able to install Windows off of that CD. Today, you just download it through the internet. But that's how things worked. So an ISO image is just that. It's the image file that can be it's an image file that it's an optical disk image file that can be booted off a CD or a thumb drive or an external drive, and that's why it was developed. It was developed because of CDs, and people wanted a way to kind of flash information onto a CD-ROM. Well, how do people use ISO files now? ISO files are used to compress huge repositories in a single file, which can be installed like an executable file, most commonly to install OS computer systems with it, right? So when you download Linux Mint or Ubuntu or whatever, it usually comes in an ISO file. So that's how it works. When you download it, it's an ISO file. You flash that ISO file to a thumb drive or an external drive or a CD, and then you boot your computer off that storage device, the CD, the flash drive, and then you install the operating system that way. ISO files are best used for huge files above 1 gig. ISO files can be used to create a bootable storage device. The ISO format is bootable by your computer's BIOS, and it's standardized. Using ISO on USB drives or even a CD, if you happen to have one, and a drive for it, means virtually any modern computer will know how to boot the drive. Why aren't all files ISO files? One, installing things via CD ISO takes a very long time and many, many steps. Other file formats are simpler and quicker. ISO files need a dedicated device to save it on, which is bootable and installable, and software to read and execute the CD image, and all the time for that. So basically, ISO files kind of occupy a use case scenario when you want to install an operating system. That's what it's most commonly used for. It's not particularly used for like tar files and zip files and archive files. Those are used for different things, but an ISO file is kind of the simplest, quickest, most effective way to install an operating to create a bootable storage device that you can then install an operating system on. So, you have different files for different things. Tar files are for one thing, zip files are for another, and then ISO files are specifically, they occupy the use case scenario when you want to install an operating system.